thought I'd just take you over how you do the Urban Threads gingerbread men and women, but with names on. So they all come, when you buy them, they've got a little button here as well. Now, I've removed this through some software. I use Brilliance, but other software is possible. If I remember right, it is actually a different colour. It is red, so you could manually just stop there if you wanted to. But when I load the design, which I'll show you in a minute on a separate one, I type the name in, and then that adds it to the end of the design. But obviously you don't want to stitch it at the end, because if you do stitch it at the end, it's going to stitch the front and the back together. So I've loaded my design. So from there, I will do however you do it on your machine. I'll go into, add the text. On this one, the name is Joe. So J, and then I want lowercase EO, and then set that. Now I'm just going to move it to where I want it, which is roughly the centre. And then resize it so it's nice and big as you can make it. Just looks a bit nicer. And then close that and embroider, and it should bring it up on screen. So you'll see that it's added it in black. I'll probably move it because it doesn't look like it's in the right place yet. It's added it in black on the very end. So what I do, because I want it in red every single time and it's easy to remember, as soon as I've stitched the red, I'll forward the machine to the black one and then stitch that, which will actually be red because I won't reload the colour, obviously. And then I'll go back again and go back to green and finalise the stitching. I don't think that's actually the one, it's probably further on. Let me, yeah, I'll do it. There we go. So if I go through the colours, you'll see it's right at the very end there where it says 900 embroidery. That's actually the name, but you need to do that right at the top by the red one. If you do it just after you've done red or just before, and keeping it red is ideal, or you can do it green, it doesn't really matter. That way you will not stitch the two sides together. Otherwise, if you stitch the two sides together, you're not going to get the candy cane in. So once I've done the die line, as you can see, the first one I ever did, I did the die line and then I cut it out and used that as a template to cut out all my felt. So there you go. There's the original one that I cut out probably last year actually. And I just used that as a template to cut all the felt out. The felt that I'm using is Hobbycraft felt, and the colour is cashmere. You can buy it on the sheet, it's 50p a sheet. And you will get a front, a back and an extra. So if you're doing like an odd number, actually it can work out quite well. So you can get 3 out of 2 sheets. So yeah, I've done my die line. I've good old 505 spray. We love this. So spray that on, try and leave it for a few seconds if you can, just so it's not too wet. Take your ribbon. A little bit of washi tape is ideal for this, and just stick that down. If you're worried about the washi tape, you can just take it right back to there, but it should be fine. I don't think you'll see it underneath, because the actual stitching when you stitch the 2 bits together comes in slightly. So the washi tape might be slightly visible between the 2 pieces, but it's unlikely. Printing your ribbon. If you want to do printing your ribbon, I would recommend getting yourself a printer like this, a Little Brother printer. Absolutely brilliant. And they do ribbon, so that's great. You can use it for all sorts of things, which I do. I put it on everything, basically. Washing instructions, the whole lot. So you can just put basic washing instructions, like washer's wool or whatever. Right, that's been sprayed for a little while, so it's nice and tacky. I'll pop my face on there. There we go, the facing piece. And then that's ready to stitch. I've just done the bow tie on the gingerbread men, so now I need to forward my machine so it comes right down to the name at the bottom here. The reason I do this is, like I said, if I left it to stitch it out right at the end, it's actually going to stitch the front and the back together, and then you won't be able to get a candy cane in, or a pen, or whatever you're using. So forward it down to the very end where you've added the name, and then you can just press go and it should. I should just stitch the name out normally then. There you go. Now I've stitched the name out, it's technically completed the design, but obviously it hasn't. The machine just thinks it has because I've had to add it on, otherwise we'll stitch the front and the back together. So I'm going to go back through and go on to the next colour, which would be green. So I've done the red and then I went down and done the name. So the next colour now would be the green, which is the buttons. So I forward it to the green and then we can run the design as normal. We stop after this white one here where it says 2 minutes. The very last white one is when you're stitching both front and back together, so that's when you need to stop it and to put the back on. So the front of the design's now all stitched. What I'm going to do now is add the back. When I add the back, I do it with a piece of double-sided tape, which I'll take that off in a minute, and some washi tape, which I've just folded over. The reason I use the washi tape is when I'm finished, the washi tape will be sat in there, and then I can just peel that apart and just take the washi tape off. It's just easier to take the washi tape off than it is double-sided. Double-sided is quite sticky. So I'm just going to take the top off of this and then I can attach it on the back. So you flip your hoop over and you take your piece with the tape on and you just pop it on the back. It's really quite self-explanatory, but the reason I do this is because there will be people out there that are really worried about doing something that's in hoop. Don't be worried, it's really not that hard. It's just finding little workarounds. Washi tape, double-sided tape, 505 spray, anything like that's really helpful. And if you've got ribbon, always try and put it on the front, because the amount of times I've not put it on the front and I've tried to put it on the back and then it gets tucked underneath it and it will get sewn into the project, and then you just like, why did I do that? So yeah, just try and use whatever you've got to hand really to stick it down so it doesn't move around too much. So that should stay quite nicely now. We'll pop it back on the machine and let that finish off. So I've now finished it, front and back. All I've got to do is trim the ends off and take it off of the stabiliser and peel it open and find there we go. Peel it open and find the tape and take that off. And that's it. It's that simple. It's really not overcomplicated at all. When you peel it off, it might not be very well lined up. You might want to trim it up a little bit, but it should be pretty good and normally come out fairly well. So that's that.